All right, it's Wednesday, August 2nd. This is an end of the day SPY recap, and today we end up with a gap down, red bar. It's a 2 down bar. It took out the low of the previous day, below the midpoint of the previous day, moved down, pretty much all session long, reached its first target, and followed through a little bit beyond that. There's still another target down here in the very short run. But what happened was today, after yesterday's recap video where we talked about these 3 days being a big inside price range between the purple lines, we were looking, if we stayed inside of there to start the day, we were going to have to look for breakouts up or down and see if they would either continue or fail. But instead, price gapped down immediately and had a big breakout right from the start. If we look at the pre-market range between the blue line, this was the pre-market range between the blue lines. Price was gapped down a little bit overnight, came up just a little, but then right out of the gates, started on the 15-minute chart down. It actually went down a little bit, paused, and then moved lower on bar number 3 to give you a good signal to take out the pre-market lows. Also, it was pretty clear, once you gap down out of that purple range, you can see here you had this low, and the pre-market low all as a liquidity target. That's why, I got very aggressive. I traded the QQQs instead of the SPY because they were a little weaker, just given all the individual stocks in that index that were opening weak. I got very aggressive because, this was a high probability target on both indexes to start. I knew you're breaking out of a key 3-day range that would be very powerful. You put it all together, these are the types of opening price actions you kind of wait for and know that, high probability to get some directional movement. I discussed, again, that we were in this tight range. The question was going to be kind of like back here, it can go on for days and days and days. And then once the breakout begins, you eventually, even if it pulls back, you get good price action from that point. So now we kind of have a breakout there. We reached this target here, which was this big red bar. I discussed that in yesterday's video. If we broke either up, we were going to target the high of that bar, down, targeting the low of that bar. So immediately we hit that. If you look at the overall price action, it was a classic morning trade. One push down, pause, second push down. There's your morning trade right there. If you wanted to take a secondary trade on this pullback and this shooter bar, you then took out the lows of the day again. So this was all downside today, good opportunities in this or other, indexes to play to the short side. We end up now with a 2-down week. So with a couple of days to go, there's still this little target down here. And actually, I actually shot some videos a while back talking about, number one, how at some point we were going to get a 2-down week, a red bar that made a new low. We hadn't done that all the way going, forward here for a long time, and it was inevitable you were going to get that, and the breakout of that purple range today on the daily chart was the signal you're going to get that. Also, I talked about on the daily chart for a while now, there were a lot of these gaps up in here moving up. That was a few weeks ago, gap, and I said at some point you're going to start filling those in. So the question is, now that you're coming down here, we should get continuation lower until proven otherwise. That you can see there's gaps to fill in down here. So we'll just have to see what unfolds tomorrow and for the rest of the week. If this weekly chart closes red, we're coming down there. Now, the only thing to say is on the monthly chart coming into August, 2 days in, we're just inside of this green bar. So until we get a 2-down month, all the way down here, we can be, we can go down for a week or two, and then may have a 2-up week and start our uptrend back to that yellow line target. That's a big play for the quarterly. We have a couple of months to go to get to that red line, but we might have to go down the weekly chart first. So let's just see if we hold and don't get a 2-down month, then we're just inside in here on the monthly chart. And at that moment, we can get any kind of we can get a weekly reversal back to the upside. So we'll see how this, it looks like we have 2 days to go. You never know for sure. It looks like we should probably close red here. That might follow through a little bit. But again, until we get below here, we haven't really turned the monthly chart, on a 2-down month. So we can kind of come in here, consolidate, and that could be pretty nice, buy signals when the weekly chart turns up again. But at this point, we're going to really have to watch for the weekly chart to turn up. Until then, we're going to play the downside on the dailies. Maybe we get continuation tomorrow. Maybe we get a little pause and another, attempt lower. That'll be a really nice setup on the daily chart. So all kinds of things are to the downside now until proven otherwise. I mean, anything could happen. Maybe we gap up 300 points tomorrow, and this was just broadening action on this bar. We made lower lows here. You can see I have that kind of that megaphone drawn in. Maybe we hit here and we start above the midpoint and start up tomorrow and don't get any deep pullback. I don't anticipate that, but that's why you let them open. And today we opened lower, and it was a pretty clear opportunity for the sell side. So let's see how we kind of go tomorrow and for the rest of the week. And this is our first weekly pullback in a while, so let's see how far down it takes us, and that's kind of going to be our framework now, the downside until we get some reversals back to the upside.